I never checked out this channel before, but it's been highly recommended. Apparently, it's animal tier plus gaming terms. So I don't know how it will go, but it sounds interesting. And we'll start with jellyfish. Jellyfish tier list. Are you ready? Not gonna lie, it's all flying over my head. I gotta start over. He says so much.
This game has seen no shortage of balance patches. And like any other game, after a while, some players have started complaining about power creep.
Balance patches?
Being able to breathe on dry land used to be an incredibly unique and powerful perk, but now it's basically par for the course with around half of the player
Like everyone breathes on land. Like a lot of animals breathe on land.
base. Being able to see and respond to the actions of other players used to be an incredible advantage, one that literally invalidated a huge number of popular playstyles. The same could be said.
Yes, seeing is important. Being able to see gives you advantage. That's true. Think on the Earth like a gigantic game. This is his entire gimmick. Yeah, it's cool. I like the angle.
That about warm-blooded respiration, pair bonding and offspring rearing, eusociality, and even flight.
Like life is game basically, and we're getting patches.
Yet, even after an uncountable number of game updates, balance patches, and expansion packs, one of the most consistent builds in the meta is the jellyfish.
Okay, jellyfish meta. Okay, I did use jellyfish in Elden Ring. Maybe I was using the meta. Meta.
A collection of ancient builds which usually
Oh my gosh, though I've never seen this close-up of jellyfish. What's all this? I don't understand the anatomy of jellyfish.
have a grand total of 0 of the aforementioned abilities.
Oh yeah, where's the lungs for jellyfish?
We're going to discuss why the jellyfish, as well as other Nadarian and jelly-like builds, have been able to stand the test of time. We'll talk about the most notable members of the faction, and place them all on the jellyfish tier list. But first, an overview of the history of the jellyfish build.
It's so pretty, isn't it? Your S tier pick for jellyfish Namu, what's mine? I don't know that many jellyfish. The jellyfish are jellyfish to me. I guess I'll learn more about them through this.
Plus a quick rundown of the typical stats and abilities they tend to have.
Stats.
Jellyfish have some of the strangest stat spreads in the entire game.
Okay.
The most obvious quirk is that their intelligence and perception stats are basically 0. Jellyfish have no central nervous system.
Are jellyfish dumb? They have no brain. They just float. They just vibe.
And so essentially all intelligence and perception-based abilities are completely locked on their skill tree.
This is no intelligence build. 0 intelligence, 99 arcade. Oh my gosh.
The lack of a brain means jellyfish have to play mostly on autopilot and rely on pre-programmed reflexes and instincts to steer them away from danger and towards food.
Okay,
But those aren't their only extremely weird stats. Jellyfish possess some incredible regenerative abilities and can recover from basically any damage. Which is good because jellyfish have next to no
This guy's literally munching parts out of the jellyfish. That's so not nice.
defense at all. They're comprised of around 95% water, and their outer layer is a simple jelly-like substance that offers very little protection. Luckily, because of the fact they're almost entirely composed of water, they blend in quite well with the water. Many of them are nearly invisible, and
then maybe they can take the water that they're surrounded with and then rebuild themselves quicker.
all are translucent to some extent, which makes them extremely difficult to detect via eyesight. What most players know about jellyfish, though, is how absolutely cracked their damage stat is. The jellyfish's special ability, Nematocyst,
Oh, they have poison build. They just regen their health bar. It refills over time.
allows for massive venom damage upon even the slightest contact with their tentacles. This isn't universal, as some jellyfish possess far more potent venom than others, a topic we'll cover extensively during the tier list portion of this video. But nonetheless, most competent players fear getting too close to any jellyfish because of their...
Everyone, this is not a hat. No, Borfus, this is not a hat. Do not do this. It's not a sea hat. It's not a cute hat. You can get poisoned by this. It's not a hat. Don't do this, okay? Don't do this.
their deadly reputation. Their stat spread may seem completely nonsensical until you realize what the meta was like when the jellyfish was first added to the game. I've covered quote-unquote ancient builds before on this channel, builds like the shark, scorpion, and centipede, but jellyfish vastly predate all of them. Jellyfish were one of the first, if not the first, major faction of multicellular builds, and so they had very little need for defenses and intelligence when there was very little to defend yourself from or to outsmart. Drifting along, filter feeding on plankton worked just fine. Some might argue it still does. Even though cephalopods, fish, and arthropods were added to the game soon after, jellyfish remained extremely popular. So after 500 million years of balance patches
500 million years? Wait, does that mean the dinosaurs that swam probably swam among the jellyfish?
and game updates, let's see which jellyfish builds come out on top.
Moon
At
jelly.
the bottom of the tier
This sounds like Elden Ring.
list, we've got the moon jelly, one of the most common
It's
jellyfish
such a
builds in the
pretty
game,
name. Moon
and yet
jelly.
one that doesn't really make use of the jellyfish
I think this is like one of the most common ones people see because I feel like I've seen this. This shape is so pretty. It's like my pendant. Look. Do you see my hair is kind of covering it, but it's kind of like my pendant shape.
one that doesn't really make use of the jellyfish build's more interesting abilities. Moon jellies have uniquely short tentacles which deal fairly minimal damage.
How many do you think they have? No, it
This
didn't
makes them
mention.
much less of a threat than basically all other jellies. In addition to that, moon jellies are notably more nutritious than other jellyfish, making them common targets for any player that's able to survive
Oh,
their
they're munching on them. I didn't even see it because it's invisible or translucent. They don't even care. Oh yeah, they don't feel it.
they're fairly
That's
minimal
so crazy. So they're like, they just bounce around and they get like chomped away, and then they just regenerate.
defenses. In fact, moon jellyfish are one of the only jellyfish which are actively preyed upon by other jellyfish, even when fully grown. The moon jelly's playstyle is entirely passive, relying
The play style is passive. Okay.
on its quick respawn rate and strong matchup against plankton
Quick respawn rate.
to make it worthwhile. Moon jellies are becoming a popular choice in the recent meta as they have a natural resistance to microplastic poisoning, negating one of the main challenges other marine players have had to learn to adapt to recently.
True. Because they're just jellies. They'll just like pass by the microplastics maybe.
So it is a solid starter build for players trying to learn
Just kidding. Just like knock the health down by
the
it.
ocean meta, but one that I think most competent players will quickly move
Oh
on from.
no, turtle. Comb jelly. Super family Sadipida. I still think they evolved to be hats. No. New hat. No! This does kind of look like a helmet though, and they like ride on a bicycle, but it's not a hat.
Next in F tier we have the comb jelly. Comb jellies are some of the most unique jellyfish builds in the game.
RBG.
In fact, even calling them jellyfish is contentious as they are technically not part of the Nidarian faction.
Oh, where are the little tentacle stuff?
Nonetheless, they are gelatinous and have most of the same
Wow.
abilities.
Look at that. It's traveling down. This is so cool. Shared abilities. What does buoyancy mean? Floatiness. It means floatiness. Passive locomotion. What's a locomotion? You guys are my dictionary. Movement. How do you know all these? Did you have to look it up? Bioluminescence. It means glowing, which I see it here. Carnivorous feeding. Ah, like they eat each other. Gelatinous body, like jelly, right? And regenerative ability. So shared abilities from the moon jelly.
Their main difference is that comb jellies do not move by pulsing their bell, and instead swim by using rows of cilia. This offers a slightly
What's a
greater
cilia?
degree of agility and control compared to your standard jellyfish build.
This does
Their
not
tentacles
look
are
like
also slightly different, being lined with adhesive glue rather than venomous microbarbs. This is quite efficient at capturing small prey, but is completely useless on defense. And because they still do not
Oh, they are carnivores. Is it glue-like? So they just stick on another one, this merge. They have a mouth on the bottom. Oh, it's crazy.
possess an advanced nervous system, the fact that they have greater control over their movement
What
via
is
their
he
cilia
doing? What is he doing? Why are they moving like this?
doesn't amount to that big of an advantage in practice. They still can't dodge predator attacks because they cannot dodge an attack that they don't know is coming. This build has a lot of potential if they can just put a few more points into intelligence. But for now, I'm still gonna place them in F tier.
Yeah, they seem kind of vulnerable. They don't really have any self-defense. Also, they seem to move slower than the moonfish, but maybe I'm wrong. This is sea nettle, superfamily Aurelio idea. Sea nettle.
At the bottom of D tier, we have the sea nettle. The sea nettle is essentially the most basic, average jellyfish build in the game. It
Okay.
embodies every feature of the archetype, yet excels at none of them and doesn't really have any additional unique abilities. The sea nettle has decent-length tentacles that can inflict solid damage, potentially lethal to builds within its own weight class, but still not strong enough to really merit the extreme caution their reputation has impressed on the player base. With low-medium size and the same nearly non-existent nervous system, sea nettles may be more well-defended than the moon jelly, but with even the slightest bit of clever counterplay, they still fall apart immediately. Next,
They didn't even spend that much time on the sea nettle either. It's very similar in terms of stats with moon jelly, but maybe it has stronger venom. This is
in D
called
tier we have the coral.
coral.
You might be surprised to see coral on the
Coral is jellyfish. Yeah, I didn't know this. It's not jelly-like though. How is this jellyfish?
jellyfish tier list, and indeed I am stretching the definition a little bit,
Okay.
but they are a part of the Nidarian faction, and are less different once you look more closely. Their early game is pretty much identical to the jellyfish, but rather
Oh.
than remaining free-floating,
I didn't know that they look like this when they're baby.
they settle onto rocks and surfaces along the seabed and attach to a single point.
And if you think about it, this like how they look here, their outline in general that we are aware of, that is quite similar to sea nettle. Like here, how it's like all ruffled. I can see.
Dropping their mobility stat to 0 for the remainder of their playthrough.
They use the tier larva and they like move it around a little bit.
To compensate, corals then activate their signature ability, Calcify, constructing an incredibly sturdy exoskeleton around themselves, and
And they go opposite. Normally jellyfish is very like soft and they break apart easily, but they harden.
massively buffing their defense stat in the process. As this exoskeleton grows, the coral will also clone itself, eventually granting the player control over an entire colony of coral, all to accomplish
Pretty.
one thing: AFK experience farming. Once established, the hard part of their playthrough is over, and they can now filter feed for essentially as long as they like. So an easy build to play if you can make it past their vulnerable planktonic early game, although
If you survive the early game, the later game is just you just sit and chill, and then the food comes to you, and then you just eat them.
unfortunately the climate change balance patch seems to be a pretty harsh nerf to this
Oh
playstyle.
no, climate change balance patch. Oh, rip. Portuguese man of war, superfamily Physaliodia.
At the top of D tier we have the other colonial Nidarian, the Manowar. This build sports medium damage, much higher than the moon jelly or sea nettle, but still not the instant death level venom that some of the higher tier jellyfish have. Like other
Oh my
jellyfish,
God.
it has low mobility and terrible defenses. But I would say that the Manowar is uniquely vulnerable to predation due to the fact that rather than having a bell to propel itself through the water, instead the Manowar has a balloon, making them very easy to detect and attack from above, where many seabirds hunt. In addition, any damage to the balloon could easily cause it to deflate, sending the Manowar straight to the depths for an instant game over, which
No.
negates the advantage most jellyfish have of being able to regenerate from minor to moderate
Does it
damage.
not? Does
uniquely
it
being
not
able to rake to the
regenerate?
depths.
They don't regen like others.
Lastly, the Manowar seems to be uniquely vulnerable to getting beached during severe storms, likely also due to their positioning on the surface of the water, where they get beaten around by the waves and the
Or
wind.
yeah, waves. Oh no.
Still, not something you want
That's
to be
crazy. They can't even move. They just lay there.
trading hits with if you're a fish.
Lion's mane.
In C tier,
jellyfish.
we have the lion's mane. This is the largest jellyfish
Wow.
build in the game, sporting a massive HP stat and tentacles that can
huge.
reach lengths of 120 feet, longer than the blue whale end to end. Giant as it may be, its power stat is still below average, as its venom still isn't really enough to take down anything much larger than a minnow. You would think a bigger jellyfish would go after bigger prey, but similar to the whale, it uses its large size to hit a larger area with its attacks, with the hope of getting frequent
Zap,
multi-kills.
zap.
Its large size makes it very difficult to kill, simply by nature of it being able to literally survive half of itself being eaten. And there isn't much out there that would need to eat more than half. Still, with its stings being fairly weak, they aren't really threatening enough to merit placement in the higher tiers.
That's cool.
Moving on up to B tier, we have the anemone. Similar to
Anemone.
coral, anemones are
Anemone.
closely related to jellyfish, but opt for a sedentary playstyle rather than a free roaming one.
This is, I guess, kind of close to the coral.
Unlike
It's like a
coral, though,
sponge.
anemones protect themselves using powerful venomous stingers rather than a hard calcified exoskeleton.
Okay.
Rather than filter feeding on plankton like corals do,
What? It's eating a fish. How do they know? How do they see?
they also use this venom to catch and kill prey. Many of them possess extremely powerful venom, enough to cause organ failure even in larger builds like humans. Now,
This
normally
kind of reminds me of air plant. I don't know if there's like a proper name for it, but there's just like plants that you just like place it in a cup. Don't they look like it?
being completely immobile is a huge vulnerability. However, the reason I rank anemones so
Whoa.
high in spite of this weakness is that anemones are some of the best team combo builds in the entire game, forming excellent team comps with both clownfish and crabs. In the case of the clownfish, the anemone and the clownfish cover each other's weaknesses, deterring the predators that the other is vulnerable to.
That's so cool. For some reason, I thought clownfish is teamed up with coral, but it's with anemone.
Similar to jellyfish, anemones are vulnerable to sea turtles, as they are resistant to their venom. Clownfish valiantly fight for their teammate, even against those sea turtles which are gargantuan.
Oh, it actually does fight for him. This is so cute.
And in return, predatory fish that would love to score an easy kill on a small, vulnerable fish need to tank a mouthful of nematocysts to even have a chance at attacking a clownfish. And in the crab's case, rather than fighting off turtles, the crab will actually attach the anemone to itself, gaining venom damage on its own attacks.
No way. Anemone is higher on the tier because it teams up with other creatures.
For granting the anemone its mobility.
This is cute though. It's
So,
kind of like they put on a boxing glove or something.
Probably only low to mid tier on its own, the combo potential of this build makes it an optimal choice in many scenarios
I
and
give
bumps it up
it.
to B tier.
No. He is looking for Nemo. Where's my son? He's going in and out different spots. No.
And finally,
Box jellyfish. Speaking of boxing glove.
jumping all the way up to S tier, we
Wait,
have
what's
the
A
box
tier?
jelly. When it comes to overpowered venom, there is quite literally not a single character in the game that has the box jelly.
jellyfish.
Its neurotoxic venom is
It's
extreme.
kind of squarey. Like, it's like a little more boxy. I wonder if that's why it's called box.
Deadly, rapidly paralyzing the victim, quickly
Okay,
leading to
strong
suffocation
venom.
and cardiac arrest. In addition to having the highest damage of any
Ugh.
jellyfish, box jellies also have the highest stealth stat. While many jellyfish sport a wide range of translucent colors like red and blue, box jellyfish are almost completely transparent,
Oh my god.
as close to
Why'd you
invisible as
pick it
possible.
up?
In addition, because they sport fewer
At
tentacles
least that guy didn't put it on his head.
and therefore experience less hydrodynamic drag, and because of their unique bell shape which allows them to jet through the water,
What?
box
Look at him pulsing, pushing himself forward. That's cool.
jellyfish have the highest mobility stat of any jelly. This makes them incredibly difficult to detect and avoid as they zoom through coastal waters,
They're fast and they're more clear, and they have stronger venom.
leading many players to simply avoid the territory entirely rather than risk potential encounters. The hallmark of a high-tier build. And as if all of that wasn't cracked enough, box jellyfish are unique in that they're the only jellyfish which have eyes, allowing them to detect danger and avoid obstacles. This enables
They have gained sight. The buff is real for these guys. Now this build is what I call perfect. This is indeed S tier, yeah.
them to thrive in less open areas where prey like to hide, such as kelp forests or mangrove swamps. Coupled with their higher mobility stat, this actually enables the box jellyfish to actively pursue prey rather than simply drifting with the
So now jellyfish is eating the fish? Is this possible? That this fish just stays in here, why can't he eat his way out? Does he not know maybe that he's inside and then just slowly dies? Paralyzed! Oh!
With the exception of tankiness and tentacle attack range, box jellyfish are strictly superior to all other jellies, which
Yeah.
is why they're such an outlier on the tier list. I also wanted to highlight a unique member of the box jelly faction, the Irukandji. The Irukandji is a dwarf variant of the box jelly,
It's so little.
maxing out at only an inch or two long, yet also sports the same incredibly potent toxin, and all of the other special traits the box jelly possesses, plus one additional trait, bell stingers. Most jellyfish have a pretty massive weak point, their bell. It can be attacked safely without the risk of being stung, so long as the attacker avoids the tentacles. The Irukandji simply does not have this weakness, as every millimeter of its surface is covered in the same
Even on the bow, on the head. No guy is super OP.
deadly stingers. As a result, even accidentally bumping into the Irukandji can result in an instant game over.
You go to the ocean and then you bump into a jellyfish that's literally just like an inch long, and you might end up on a helicopter.
Which has a lot of players worried given how much more popular this build has become lately.
Oh no, it's gotten popular.
Obviously a super risky playstyle though, as the Irukandji itself has the
It's
lowest
so
HP
little.
stat of any build I've ever covered on this channel. Even just swimming into an obstacle is damaging enough to kill an Irakanji, so they need to play extremely carefully, and can't take advantage of the obstacle-heavy environments that the other box jellies can. So that's the jellyfish tier list. Generally, I rate most of them low to mid-tier, with the exception of the truly formidable outlier of the box jelly. Before we wrap up, I do want to cover some...
He didn't even put the Irokanji. I guess this goes in here as a subspecies. One bonk and it's down. True. We don't talk about that.
counterplay options. I mentioned it a few times in the video, but sea turtles have a flat-out unlosable matchup against jellyfish, being completely immune to their venom, and so they are able to safely attack and digest them. But another lesser known but even more...
I didn't know the sea turtles are immune to their venom. I'm learning new player approaching.
Effective counter to jellyfish is the sea slug. Not only are they immune to the venom, but they can actually absorb the stingers and convert them into their own defensive weapons.
Nematosis venom. Item weapon upgrade. Often include paralysis, pain, or tissue damage, making it an incredibly effective tool for capturing prey or deterring predators.
Basically giving them all the deadly benefits of the jellyfish, without the drawback of being basically brainless. I expect both of these builds...
I've never seen sea slugs in my life, actually. This is so crazy looking. So sea slugs and sea turtles are very strong against jellyfish in general.
...builds become a lot more popular as jellyfish numbers continue to increase. So if you're looking to score some easy wins, I recommend learning the strategies of both of these excellent builds. I hope to do a sea slug video soon, so be on the lookout for that.
I feel like this is another one that has like a lot of variety.
Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it when it drops. And speaking of not missing important video releases, I'd like to remind all my viewers that the best way to watch my content is with Nebula, the sponsor of this video.
Nebula?
It's best for you because you'll get access to all my videos, as well as videos from hundreds of other excellent creators, early and ad-free. And it's best for me because watching on Nebula supports my channel better than anywhere else, helping me bring you the highest quality original content that I can. These 3D animations in my recent videos aren't cheap to create, but I know you guys like them, and I want to make sure this channel looks the absolute best that it can. Now, while you could just pay sticker price, as one of the owners of Nebula, I know a couple of tricks for how to get it even cheaper, including one we haven't talked about in ads before. There are two main ways. First, you may remember a while back that I promoted a bundle subscription service containing both CuriosityStream and Nebula. Many of you signed up for that in order to support me, and I appreciate that, but unfortunately that arrangement has ended. Luckily, Nebula never updated their pricing, so you can still get Nebula for the same crazy low price of only $2.50 a month if you go with their annual subscription. The other way is to buy one of their lifetime memberships. These are a one-time purchase that grants you permanent access to the subscription.
That's cool.
This may seem costly, but believe me, I can think of at least a half-dozen streaming services that I desperately wish offered this sort of deal, especially with how many subscriptions have been raising their prices lately. The lifetime membership also funds big-budget original projects much more directly. So if you'd like to see me really shoot for the moon with some big projects, this is absolutely your best option. I would not expect these sorts of deals to be around much longer, especially the lifetime membership one. So if you're interested, you can either scan the QR code on screen, head to nebula.tv/TierZoo, or click the link in the description of this video. Thanks for watching, and as always, good luck out there.
Yeah, a good video. Hat video, not a hat video. Jellyfish tier list, not a hat. Don't wear them. Don't put it on your head.